Hello, scale model builder fans. That is definitely weird to say instead of saying, like, hello, Eaglemoss, build your own Back to the Future Delorean fans. So, if you remember, when I put that update to my personal mods for my Eaglemoss Delorean, I had told you about how this had broken, like 5 to 10 seconds after I had put it on there. Well, I started the mod for the sway bar using a solid piece of brass. Now, if you notice, like, the little bend deviations in this, I was hoping, because brass is a softish metal, that I could get away with using one of the benders for the hollow piping. Didn't exactly work out as planned, so that's caused from trying to bend it back. So, but this and the solid pipe bender, or I should say solid metal pipe bender here, I got from my local hobby store, which I ended up using this for this portion. And you can see how nice and clean the bends are in this compared to that side, which I had fixed it and then used that bender. Alright, so I know this is a little crude looking, and eventually I can always come up with the little pieces, like some metal pieces up on the side to help cover this up a little bit more. But for right now, it actually kind of looks okay. So, how did I end up doing this other than the pipe benders? Okay, so I ended up using the one side to match, or at least try to match, the bends as best as I could. So that's how I got the bends, was using the plastic version of that. Alright, and I do have the bushings in there. They are super glued into place, and if you'll notice that, I'll talk about that right there. Okay, so I went online and I found this online store that sold rubber sheets. Well, actually, it was a site that I had gone on for small diameter rubber washers, but they happened to actually sell a package of rubber sheets, which kind of came in handy, so I could actually make my own small diameter rubber washers for a different mod that I'm going to be doing with the suspension. So came kind of in handy. So you just I just cut some small pieces out and slowly super glued them around the brass tubing. So that's another item. So you will need a hobby bender, you will need brass tubing or aluminum tubing, or I wouldn't go with steel. You want to use something that's a soft metal, just so it has a little bit of flex to it. And you notice that the rubber does react the way that a real bushing would. It gives a little bit of flex. So, I mean, if you notice this, Okay, so we got that, and I used some stainless sheet metal to create these pieces. And also pin vise and small drill bits to initially start the holes. And I can even give you the drill number. So this set I had gotten from Model Expo, but there's obviously more pieces that you can actually use. Alright, so this is a number 61. That is the largest diameter in this kit. And then 80 is the smallest. So I started off with the 61, which was still too small for the screw holes. And then I used a 1/16 titanium coated drill bit, and I still used the pin vise that's in here to enlarge the holes. I used a file to deburr the metal. So, and you can either use a pair of scissors, X-Acto knife, box cutter, whatever, to actually cut out the strips from the rubber. And this tubing is the same diameter as the hole in the suspension. Now the only thing is that eventually I'm probably going to have to make that diameter smaller so that way I can make some bushings for the end, because a real suspension does have rubber bushings on the sway bar. And if you're wondering why this is, it's because there's a little bit too much tension in the bushing housing here, or the mount for the bushing for the plastic screw. Now I will go over on a fix for that when I can actually get a another part, or I should say a bolt, because there is a way to get small scale simulated bolts from online stores, and you will actually be able to use it as a bolt. So when I do have the right size bolt, and I will end up putting a nut on the other side, so that way this definitely will stay in place through the plastic, and it won't need to be over tightened, just tight enough to actually keep it down in place. Obviously some of these screws are holding this in place, but I have a feeling that that hole was already kind of stripped from when I had put that piece on. And this sway bar is not going to be staying this brass color. I have another little thing that I'm going to do for my sway bar mod on that. But, I mean, this looks actually pretty cool. I mean, it's not like people are going to end up like lifting it up and, you know, taking a long look at it. So, I mean, you could probably just get away with keeping it like this. I mean, if you really want to cover up the holes in there, you could always put maybe some smaller bits of metal in that, or, you know, just make like a flat cover for around the outside of it, and, you know, like super glue it in place, or do like a 3D kind of thing, you know, like make the shape out and then do all the bends and the gluing like that. I mean, if you're really good at working with sheet metal that kind of way. But from far away and, you know, just leaving it on the stand, this should be good enough. Because, I mean, you'll know that it's a more realistic look. And like I said, it does have, with that rubber on there, that flex that you actually need on a more realistic suspension. So, I mean, there we have that. So, when I do get the other things I need to correct this issue, the small scale bolts and the small scale nuts, and then my little idea to cover the brass piping, I will do in another mod video. So I'm hoping that this actually helps all you scale modelers for the Eaglemoss build your own Back to the Future DeLorean. And this has been one of Brian's builds. In this case, one of Brian's mods. So good luck with your mod, and thanks for watching.